I am shallow. I got myself attached to Blake Sterling, the capital's untouchable golden heir, by pretending to be a delicate little angel. Then I woke up and decided to do my job properly, as the vicious, disposable villain. Except I didn't know this. The lead suddenly started hearing my thoughts. Out loud, I blinked up at Blake, soft and devoted. Blake, I love you, not your money. In my head. Please. The second I've cashed in enough, I am gone. Then, I'll keep myself a pretty boy, and be the one footing the bill, just for fun. Blake paused. His brow tightened, and something like confusion flickered in his eyes. I didn't notice, because I'd already turned and spotted the real innocent type love interest standing nearby. Out loud, you. Come over and pour me a drink, on your knees. In my head. Oh my God, I am obsessed. He's exactly my type. I want to kiss him. I want to. Yeah. Once I dump Blake, I am keeping you. I'll pay for your grandma's hospital bills and your sister's tuition, too. The boy's knees trembled as he slowly lowered himself. His ears turned bright red in an instant. It was Blake Sterling's birthday. They were throwing a party at a glassy oceanfront villa. Music, champagne, and people with money to burn. And me? As Blake's kept little lover, I naturally showed up beside him. Blake lounged against the sofa, legs crossed, eyes cold and expensive, like something you weren't allowed to touch. And I sat there like a polished accessory. Pretty. Decorative. Useless. Blake was getting tired of me. Right on cue, his buddy Carter Reed presented a new gift. Blake, Carter said with a grin, take a look. This one's your type. Yeah. The boy Carter brought over looked sweet and clean-cut, the kind Blake liked. Same vibe as Blake's childhood friend. Carter nudged him forward. Leo. Go toast Mr. Sterling. Leo walked up shyly, holding out a glass. Mr. Sterling, a toast to you. Blake's lips curved, and he watched Leo like he was mildly entertained. Leo's face flushed harder, like Blake's looks had short-circuited his brain. And just as Leo thought he'd won, I stood up, took the other glass from Leo's hand and drank it. Then I smiled, eyes curved sweetly. Sorry, Blake only drinks when I feed it to him. I'll take this one for him. Leo froze, then pressed his lips together, hurt, embarrassed. A couple of the rich boys nearby scoffed. Ryan, don't get full of yourself. Blake hasn't even looked at you for a month. You still don't know your place. You are a kept boy. Who do you think you are? There are plenty more obedient than you. You are here for money, aren't you? Want the cash and the man? Dream on. If Blake dumps you, you'll be replaced in a day. They weren't wrong. My face wasn't the innocent type Blake liked. Mine was the kind people called too pretty sharp, vivid, hard to ignore. I'd use that face, and a fake, harmless persona, to get close to him. And anyone could replace me. I was Blake's kept lover. But I was also the one who'd stayed at his side the longest. At first I was pliant. Easy. Later, I got possessive. I wouldn't allow anyone near him but me. So Blake decided to teach me a lesson. He left me alone in the villa. No calls. No visits. No explanation. A whole month. During that month, he picked up other lovers. They came and went with him, publicly close. One night, they even made me buy condoms and deliver them, then left me standing outside in the freezing dark for hours. Blake never came out. I knew he wouldn't. I trudged back to the villa with the bag in my hand, and collapsed with a fever the second I got inside. For days, I burned. Half conscious, I had a dream. In the dream, I realized I was a character in a novel. A vicious, disposable villain. Blake was the male lead. And the future version of me would bully the true protagonist, and Blake would destroy me for it. Maybe he figured I'd been punished enough. That was why he brought me to his birthday party today. It was a warning. I would never be his only one. I shouldn't get greedy. My face went pale on command. My body swayed, thin, fragile, heartbreakingly sincere, as I held Blake's hand. Blake, I love you. Not your money. You know that. In my head. Yeah, right. Once I've gotten enough, I am out. I'll keep myself a pretty boy and live my best life. Blake's gaze sharpened. A flicker of confusion passed through his eyes. I hadn't said anything else. But a familiar voice, my voice, had just spoken unfamiliar words straight into his head. He frowned, thinking he must have imagined it. Because I loved him. How could I think something like that? Then, a server approached with a tray. He had gentle features, clear eyes, and a calm, warm presence, like someone made of clean light. Blake glanced at him. And for once, his gaze lingered. That server was the true protagonist, Heir Morgan. This story was a Clixa, a ruthless rich heir, falling for someone poor and unyielding. Me? I was the fake innocent. Heir was the real one. But Heir wasn't just sweet. He was soft and stubborn. In the original plot, Blake tried to force him into love. And Heir never broke. He'd rather bleed than kneel. Eventually, he made Blake beau. We were both substitutes for Blake's childhood friend, but Heir was never anyone's copy. How could you not fall for someone like that? I saw where Blake's attention was headed, and snorted quietly. Time to do my villain job. You. Come pour my drink. On your knees. Blake frowned at me, displeasure flashing in his eyes. He liked gentle little angels. He hated sharp, cruel people like me. Perfect. I wanted him to hate me. Dump me fast. Then I'd leave heartbroken with a fat breakup check. Heir paused, then walked over anyway. Okay. He had a grandma in the hospital, and a younger sister in school. He needed money. He couldn't afford to offend people like us. I looked him over, face cold, heart already melting. Blake wanted him. And so did I. In my head. I am obsessed. Heir is exactly my type. I want to kiss him. I want to. Yeah. Once I dump Blake, I am keeping you. I'll pay for your grandma and your sister too. Heir's knees trembled as he lowered himself. His ears turned red like they'd been set on fire. He stole a careful glance at me. And met my stare dead on. In my head. Oh wow. I like him even more up close. He poured my drink obediently, still kneeling, broad shoulders, narrow waist. It was criminal. In my head. That waist. Yeah, that's dangerous. Ellie's cheeks went pink. He dropped his head lower, too shy to look at me. Across the room, Blake's face had gone dark. His eyes pinned me. Angry, probing, almost disbelieving. For half a second, I nearly thought. He can hear me. No, impossible. He was mad because I was humiliating Ellie. That had to be it. Blake suddenly asked, voice tight. You are Heir Morgan? Ellie froze. Yes. Blake let out a sharp, humorless laugh, like something in him had snapped. You are really named Heir Morgan. I blinked. Why did Blake act like he already knew him? Blake turned to me, fury flaring. What are you two? I startled, grabbed his hand, went soft again. Blake, what are you talking about? I don't know him. Blake grabbed my face, fingers harsh on my jaw. Ryan, which word out of your mouth is even real? I didn't understand. Everything I said is real. Blake shoved my hand away. Then he stood, wrapped an arm around Leo's waist, and walked out. He didn't spare me a single glance. His friends followed, laughing as they went. And I stood there, acting devastated, calling after him like I'd been abandoned. Blake didn't look back. No one did. To Blake and his circle, I was a toy. The other guests looked at me like I was trash. Blake's attitude set the tone for everyone else. Well, looks like he really was going to dump me this time. I couldn't stay. I cried for show, then calmly wiped my tears away. A handkerchief appeared in front of me. I looked up. Ellie's face, clean and gentle, was filled with concern. Are you okay? My eyes were still red, so I glared at him, defensive. What? Are you pitying me because I got tossed aside? In my head, he's so gentle. Ellie is actually an angel. Ellie's face turned red again. He looked shy and flustered. I didn't mean it like that. Do you have somewhere to go? You can. Come to my place for now, if you want. I stared at him, throat suddenly tight. I didn't know why, but I nodded. Maybe because in that whole room, he was the only one who offered to wipe my tears. And take me home. Okay. Eli's place was tiny. After mansions and villas, it felt like the walls were closing in. Small enough that you could see everything at a glance. Somewhere deep in my memory, I'd lived in a place like this once. That memory was bitter. I'd sworn I'd never live like that again. But Eli didn't look bitter at all. His home was warm in a different way. Cozy, neat, filled with books and soft light. He looked at me, and for the first time, he seemed apologetic. Sorry, it's small. You probably haven't seen a place like this before. I am saving up. I'll rent a bigger place someday. Next time. He cut himself off. Like he realized there probably wouldn't be a next time. His expression dipped, frustration, disappointment, shame. I pouted. Yeah, I've never lived somewhere this small. In my head, it's so cute though. So many books, what's that one, and that one? Can I come again? Eli jolted, then hurriedly said. Of course. You can come whenever you want. I looked away, stubborn. I didn't say I wanted to come. In my head, I am buying this place. Then I am buying a bigger one. Then Eli and I will live together. I am keeping him. I am also going to... I am going to be so evil to him in bed. Eli's face went even redder. His lips parted like he wanted to speak. Then, finally, he asked what he'd been holding in. What's your name? Do we... know each other? Ryan. We don't. In my head. I know you. You are Eli Morgan. Eli swallowed. Then? Do you like me? I stared at him, shocked. What are you even thinking? Why would I like you? In my head, I like you. I want to kiss you. I want to sleep with you. Does that count? Eli froze. He pressed his lips together, head dropping so low his ears looked like they might catch fire. He looked so embarrassed, he couldn't ask another question. Good. I was evil like that. Ellie only had one bed. The blanket was thin. I hated the cold. I curled up and shook under the covers. Eli heated water, poured it into a plastic bottle, and tucked it under my blanket like a makeshift heater. He set an alarm. When the water cooled, he got up and replaced it. Over and over. Then he looked at me and carefully tucked me in tighter. I am sorry. This is my fault. I blinked. Why are you apologizing? Eli wasn't the kind of poor person who wore insecurity like a bruise. But this was the first time he looked ashamed, like he'd carried a treasure home and had nothing beautiful enough to hold it. I am sorry my place is so cold. I tugged the blanket up. It's not cold. It's warm. I am practically sweating. Eli smiled. He was handsome. But when he smiled, it was honestly lethal. My brain short-circuited, and I blurted. Eli, I want to keep you. As my kept man, are you okay with that? In the original plot, when Blake tried to keep Eli would have told him to go to hell on the spot. Eli had pride like steel. That was why Blake later used Eli's family to threaten him, tried to force him. And Eli still never yielded. He was a pine tree in winter, unbending. The second the words left my mouth, I regretted them. What if he kicked me out? It was the middle of the night. It was freezing outside. Eli lowered his eyes to me. And softly. Okay. I stared. Huh? Oh. Okay. Then, how much per month? In my head. I was thinking like, 20 grand? I have to cover his grandma's bills and his sister's tuition. That's what a sugar daddy does. But I also need to save up to buy a place. What's a fair number? Eli watched me, eyes dark as midnight. 100. 100 is enough. I choked. That's what you said. Yeah, that's what I said. I couldn't believe he was that cheap. I immediately burrowed into his arms, delighted. Now I was the one in charge. Eli's embrace didn't smell like expensive cologne, just clean laundry detergent. And somehow, that made it even harder to let go. When I woke up again, Eli was gone. On the nightstand, a cup of warm water, and a note. Drink some water when you wake up. Breakfast is in the rice cooker. I went to work. Sorry you had to wake up alone. Here is my number. I left you a spare key. Come anytime you want. I stared at the note and thought, Eli really had talent for being someone's kept man. I opened the rice cooker. Inside was a warm meat patty and a bottle of milk. Then I opened the fridge and saw the rest of his food, plain steamed buns. Of course. He ate the cheap stuff and cooked the good stuff for me. I slammed the fridge shut, furious. No more buns. Ever. Not allowed. While I ate, my phone rang. Blake. I picked up, and his voice slid through, lazy and hoarse, like he'd just woken up. Ryan. Come cook for me. A soft, clingy male voice purred in the background. Mr. Sterling, I am so hungry. Blake chuckled. Was last night not enough to fill you up? Then, to me, you heard me. Get over here. I paused, then answered smoothly. Okay, I'll be right there. Blake hadn't dumped me yet. I took money. I did the job. Cooking was part of the deal. Besides, hopefully I wouldn't have to do it much longer. I got to Blake's place quickly. When I opened the door, Leo stood there in a robe. Marks on his skin. Last night had clearly been intense. He smiled like he'd won something. Oh wow. I thought Blake called a maid. Turns out it's you. He did it on purpose. I curled my lips into a dark little smile. Heh. I am putting rat poison in the food later. Enjoy. Leo froze, face going pale and green all at once. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I shoved past him hard with my shoulder. He yelped but couldn't do anything about it. I went straight into the kitchen and started cooking like I'd done 1,000 times. Footsteps behind me. I snorted. What? Scared I am actually going to poison you. Blake's voice. Where were you last night? The housekeeper said you didn't come back. I turned, surprised. I couldn't get a ride. It was too far. Why didn't you call me? I almost laughed. Call him. What for? During the month he locked me away, I'd called him countless times. He never answered. The night I burned with fever, I called too. I stupidly thought if he knew I was sick, he'd care. He didn't even pick up. When I finally realized that, my phone died. I couldn't even call an ambulance. If the housekeeper hadn't found me, I might have ended up brain-fried. So I just smiled gently. I didn't want to bother you. I could have slept at a hotel. Blake's brow nodded like he'd been slapped. Bother me? Maybe he'd never heard me say that before. Because before, the second he touched someone else, I'd dragged him back, made a scene, ruined his mood. But not now. Now I had stepped back into my proper place and cut him out of my space completely. I didn't get much schooling. I used to be a server. One day a customer was harassing me, pushing me around, humiliating me. And Blake stepped in. He shut the guy down like it was nothing. After that, I was grateful in a way I didn't know how to explain. I started looking forward to seeing him again. Every day, I hoped he'd show up. But he never came back. People laughed at me for being stupid. They said Blake was a Sterling, the capital's golden heir. Someone like me couldn't reach someone like him. Not in a lifetime. And I believed them. I felt small. Embarrassed. Ashamed of how badly I wanted to get close to him anyway. So I asked around. I chased scraps of information. I found a way to get in front of him. When I finally worked up the courage to speak, he only flicked his eyes over me, cold and bored. How much? I'll keep you. He didn't remember me. He thought I was for sale. It tasted bitter. But I couldn't bring myself to let the chance slip. 2,000? Is that okay? As a server, I could make 3,000 a month. But if it meant staying by his side, I'd take 2. I'd take less. Anything. Blake lifted an eyebrow. The smile on his face turned faintly mocking, like he assumed I was putting on an act. Playing innocent to get pity. Stop it. I'll give you 30 grand. And just like that, I became his kept lover. Except, keeping me was never about me. Back then, it was just a tactic, something he did to provoke his childhood friend. He liked him, not me. Blake had stomach issues. And he was picky as hell. I was terrified he'd get tired of me and toss me aside. So I studied his tastes every single day. I obsessed over what he liked. I learned to cook what he could actually eat. And my food happened to suit him. So I stayed. They called me his lover. In reality, I was his cook. I liked him. I wanted him to have no one but me. But all I got back was neglect. Then, abandonment. And finally I understood. He wasn't the man I'd imagined. Between us was a gap I could never cross. I smiled the same way I always did, soft and obedient. Don't worry, Blake. I won't mess up again. In my head, I don't want to be locked up again. And I don't want to stay by your side anymore. Blake stared at me like he could tell something had shifted. His jaw tightened, fingers curling. Then he forced it down. I am not going to just lock you up. You can move back in. I shook my head. It's fine, I'll stay elsewhere. That way, when you bring someone home at night, I won't get in your way. In my head, sleep with whoever you want. I am not staying here just to get mocked the next morning. Back then, if Blake brought someone home, I'd storm out and kick them out. Every time, I kept ruining his fun. I even offered myself, begged, teased, tried to seduce him shamelessly. Blake didn't budge. Not a flicker. Then I learned the truth. He'd been in love with his childhood friend all along. Everyone he slept with resembled that person in some way, and I didn't resemble him at all. So my only value left was cooking. Blake's breathing went sharp. Fine. Do what you want. He walked out. I lowered my head and kept cooking. I'd done it so many times I could do it with my eyes closed, always adjusting everything to Blake's picky taste. Lunch went on the table. Leo pulled out a gray cashmere knit scarf from somewhere and wrapped it around his neck, acting cute. This scarf is so pretty. Blake, give it to me? My gaze snag. That scarf. I'd knitted it for Blake. I wasn't smart. I'd wasted yarn, pricked my fingers raw, and practiced forever to make it. Knitting something for someone you loved had felt like happiness. Blake had never worn it. Blake looked at the scarf on Leo and didn't say anything. In my head, take it. My fingers practically died for that scarf. At least someone's using it. Blake snapped his gaze to me, irritation flashing. Take it. It's something I didn't want anyway. He didn't want it. I nodded, calm. Food's done, I'll go. As I turned, Blake stopped me. If you are not living here, take your stuff with you too. I blinked, confused, until I followed his line of sight. By the entryway sat a vase. We'd made it together. Some dumb date ideas article said couples should do crafts to bond. I'd forced Blake to go with me. I used to treasure that vase like it held proof of something real. Now I just stared. Blake scoffed, catching my hesitation. He walked over, yanked the vase down, and tossed it at me. It hit the floor before I could catch it. Crash! Shards everywhere. Silence. I grabbed a bag and started picking up pieces. Don't come closer, Blake. You'll cut yourself. I'll take the trash out. Trash. I used to be afraid to even put flowers in it. Now it was trash. Blake's eyes flickered. Something like panic, gone in an instant. He stared at me like he didn't recognize what he was seeing. I stood with the bag of shards, ready to leave. And Blake grabbed my wrist. His expression was stiff, like he wasn't used to saying anything that sounded even remotely like pleading. Ryan, move back in. We can. Make another one. I'll go with you again. I shook my head. It's fine. Your time is valuable. You don't have to. Blake's jaw clenched. Think carefully. You want my side to be only you? You think you deserve that? You think you can carry that? I nodded once. I did think carefully. You taught me. I don't deserve it. That month taught me not to cross the line ever again. Blake stared hard, like he was hunting for jealousy, sadness, anything. There was nothing. His grip tightened. Pain shot up my arm. So tight I thought he might break my wrist. His voice turned icy. You remember what you are? You cook and think you are worth 30 grand a month? I swallowed. Then, I won't do it anymore. I don't think I deserve it either. In my head. I don't want to be your lover. And I don't want your money. Blake's eyes went bloodshot with fury. What did you just say? I lifted my chin, stubborn even through the pain. I don't want to be your lover anymore. Blake stared at me like he'd been hit. I yanked my wrist back, red, swollen. Tears stung my eyes from the pain, but I repeated it anyway. I said, I don't want to be your lover anymore. Blake finally let go. I spun around and left like I was escaping. I knew he wouldn't chase me. A man like him didn't chase. And someone like me? There were 100, 1,000 replacements. After I cut ties with Blake, I felt lighter than I ever had. Now I was a sugar daddy too. Time to treat my kept man sweetly. I called Eli, then immediately ran to his workplace. When I got there, I heard him asking his boss for time off. The boss sighed. "No, kid. We're slammed today. Big clients coming in. If you leave, we're dead." Eli was about to speak. Then he saw my head peeking in from the doorway. He froze. The boss looked over too. I knew this boss. When Ellie's grandma got sick, this man had lent him emergency money. He was a good guy. I blinked innocently. Busy? Then, I can help too. I used to be a server. The boss smiled amused. Oh, well, thank you. Then he looked at Eli. So this is the boyfriend you were talking about. Eli's gaze had gone soft the second he saw me. Now his face turned red instantly. I guessed his time off was probably for his boyfriend. I nodded firmly. Yep, I am his boyfriend. In my head, HMPH. To save you embarrassment, this sugar daddy will claim you. Eli's eyes curved with helpless fondness. He looked ridiculously happy. He didn't want me working. He told me to sit and play on my phone. I refused. In the end, Eli, my kept man, had to listen to me. He led me to change into a server uniform. Just stay with me, you don't have to do anything. Nope, I am not doing nothing, I can handle it. In my head, your boss is a good person. He helped you when your grandma needed money. I want to help good people too. Ellie's hands paused on the ties of my uniform. He looked up at me, eyes flooding with something he barely restrained. Something sharp, hungry, determined. He pressed his face into my neck and exhaled. Ryan, there won't be a next time. I can't stand you doing this. He spoke like someone confessing a wound. I started working young. Dishes, delivery, running errands. No one ever felt sorry for me. No one ever said they didn't want me to suffer. Eli was the first. I stood there, stunned in his embrace, heart turning soft and sour all at once. Dinner rush hit. I picked it up fast, muscle memory from my old server days. It was a high-end restaurant. The kind rich men used to network over steak and wine. And then, I saw Blake. He was dining with a few familiar rich boys, sitting at the center seat, expression dark. Leo wasn't there. Someone laughed. W here is Ryan this time? Didn't he used to cling to you like glue? Blake? Blake probably kicked him out. God, he was annoying. I kept my head down as I placed dishes, rolling my eyes so hard it hurt. In my head, please, like I want to be here. Seeing you clowns makes me nauseous. Blake's body stilled, like he'd heard something. He looked up sharply, straight in my direction. I panicked. In my head, why are you looking at me? I am wearing a mask. No way you recognize me. Blake frowned, then barked. Ryan. I jumped, pretended I didn't hear, and turned to leave. Blake was on me in 3 strides. He grabbed me, then yanked my mask down. I froze. Blake stared at my face, then let out a short laugh. What tip did you get this time? You knew I was here? Like I had a history of tracking him down. He thought I'd done it again. But for some reason, his expression wasn't angry. It looked almost relieved. Almost happy. One of the rich boys scoffed. Told you, he'd show up. Call the manager. How do you let trash in here? He's not even staff. I pressed my lips together and shoved Blake's hand off me. I am not here for you. Blake didn't answer, but every line of his face screamed disbelief. The boss hurried over, sweating apologies. I am so sorry, gentlemen. He's a new server here, and he's absolutely not here because of you. He's here to accompany his boyfriend. Blake's brow lifted. Boyfriend? You told them that? He clearly assumed boyfriend meant him. I stared, speechless. For the first time in my life I thought, is Blake actually that full of himself? I raised my voice. I already said I am not here on purpose. I am here for my boyfriend, Ellie Morgan. The room went silent, including the doorway, where Eli had just rushed in. My face heated. I was suddenly shy. Eli walked over, calm and protective, and pulled me behind him. I am his boyfriend. He's here for me. Is there a problem? The rich boy's eyes went wide. Holy. Wait. Really? Ryan's boyfriend is someone else. Blake's hand, still half raised from grabbing me, hung empty in the air. His jaw tightened. Anger gathered in his eyes. Eli Morgan, you again. Ellie's gaze stayed cool. Whatever he had with you before, it's over. I am his boyfriend now. They stared each other down. Not like destined lovers. Like rivals. Like two predators circling the same thing. Blake ground his teeth. Ryan, you were already with him, weren't you? That's why you dumped me so fast. For a server. I didn't understand why he was so furious. The only thing I could guess, he couldn't accept that I left him for someone else. I didn't want him taking it out on LA. So I said it clearly. During the month you locked me away, the night I had a fever and couldn't reach you, that's when I wanted to leave. It wasn't for anyone. Blake froze. When? Of course he didn't remember. He'd left me out in the cold for hours and never once looked back. I already knew. I was done talking. I grabbed Eli's hand and pulled him out. Eli held my hand tight. His whole body felt like a drawn bow, tense, restrained. He was worried about me. I tried to reassure him. Don't worry, I am not sad. I don't like him anymore. Eli's eyes looked like they hurt. Maybe because of what I'd said. Locked away. Ignored. Sick with no one knowing. Back then, I hadn't felt that pitiful. But now, seeing Eli's trembling hand, his reddened eyes, I suddenly felt it. Pain only feels real when someone cares enough to ache for you. Eli touched my face gently, like he was afraid I'd crack. Ryan, I'll get justice for you. Soon. For the first time, I saw something close to ruthlessness on Eli's face. In my head, holy hell, that's hot. Can I get sex tonight? Eli's expression froze. Then his face went violently red. He gave me a helpless, shy look, like he'd caught my filthy little thoughts. After that, he banned me from carrying plates. He made me sit in the back and eat good food. The chefs adored me. Pretty face, sweet mouth. I didn't freeload though. I volunteered to take out the trash. On my way back, I ran into Blake smoking by the back door. The cigarette glowed and dimmed between his fingers. His tall frame hid in the night like a shadow. I pretended not to see him. Blake called my name. Ryan. Fine, I'll do what you want. From now on, it'll only be you. I'll go make that vase with you again. Stop throwing a tantrum. I kept walking. Blake's voice turned colder. You are really ending it with me for a server? I turned. Why not? I used to be a server too. You don't even remember, do you? Blake frowned. What are you talking about? Weren't you? Someone from a club? I stared at him. Do you remember a few months ago, at a cafsot, when you chased off a guy harassing a server? Blake's eyes flickered. Disbelief. That server was me. My voice stayed steady. I wasn't from a club. I wasn't selling myself. When I said 2,000 a month, I meant it. I wasn't acting. I swallowed. I just liked you. You had stomach problems, so I paid for classes and learned to cook. I studied your tastes. I learned and learned until I could make food you'd actually eat. You don't have to like me back. You can like someone else. I only wanted to stay near you. But there were too many people around you. I became the one discarded. My throat tightened. If the housekeeper hadn't found me that night after my fever, I might not even be standing here. I looked him straight in the eyes. The cost of staying beside you is too high. A cold wind passed. Blake went rigid. His face drained pale. The cigarette burned down to his fingers. He didn't even notice. I turned away. He reached for my hand. I dodged. His voice cracked. Ryan, I didn't know. It's my fault. For the first time, Blake looked truly broken, regret and guilt tearing at him. The arrogant air looked like a dog that had been abandoned. He swallowed hard. No more next time. I won't lock you up again. I didn't give him your scarf. I took it back. I like you too. Come back. Ask for anything. I'll change. From now on, I'll only have you. I didn't even hesitate. No. That night, Eli and I went back to the tiny apartment. We also bought a bag of condoms. I thought Eli would be shy. He wasn't. He was the one studying the options the most seriously, asking the clerk detailed questions. I wanted to die. Later, I showered first. Eli showered after. Meanwhile, I lay on the bed studying, scrolling educational content like my life depended on it. My face was burning, but I kept watching anyway. When Eli came out, warm and damp, he wrapped himself around my back. I yelped. Ah, what are you doing? Eli smiled apologetically. Sorry, did I scare you? What are you looking at? I slammed my phone face down, eyes darting everywhere. Nothing. In my head. I am learning how to do it. I've never done it. I am the sugar daddy. I can't get looked down on by my kept man. Eli laughed softly and brushed my hair back. Is that so? His hand slipped under my shirt, and I snapped back to reality, face exploding red. You, why aren't you wearing clothes? Eli kissed my cheek. Why would I? We're going to take them off anyway. His body was unfair, broad shoulders, narrow waist, perfect muscle lines. I didn't dare look. Especially not. That. Shameless. I am wearing mine. Eli's smile deepened. Yeah. I'll help my baby take them off. I glared. Who's your baby? Turns out Eli, who looked like a gentle saint, was a wolf in sheep's clothing. I should have known the moment he was seriously comparing condom types. Later, I couldn't take it anymore. I clung to him and cried, voice shaking. You are being unfair. I am the sugar daddy. Ellie's voice went low, husky, lethal. Good baby. One last time. Just a little longer. I got bewitched again and let him do whatever he wanted. I don't know how long it lasted. At some point I cried again, pushing his chest weakly. You lied. You don't feel sorry for me at all. Ellie chuckled against my throat. I am being gentle with you, baby. Very gentle. After that I don't even remember when I fell asleep. Men's words in bed really can't be trusted. Afterward, Eli blamed me, said it was because I kept teasing him, and thinking filthy thoughts all the time. I felt guilty and didn't dare argue. But in my head, I still fantasized about him constantly. And every night, I paid the price. I started suspecting. He really could hear my thoughts. Eli moved me into a bigger place. He quit the server job and got busy, constantly. I didn't understand what he was doing, only that he looked insanely handsome tapping away on a laptop. The busier he got, the clingier he became. He wouldn't let me out of his sight for long. When he got tired, he'd pull me into his arms and recharge. That's what he called it. I worried about him. Eli, if you keep this up, you are going to ruin your health. I don't need a big place. I like the small one too. Ella's gaze softened. He held me close. Baby. I can't. His voice went quieter. I am scared you'll be cold at night again, scared you'll shake under the covers. And I am even more scared you'll get used to that kind of cold. He kissed my forehead like a promise. I can't accept that, not for you. Later, I learned something. Love often feels like debt. Eli couldn't stand the idea of me suffering. Once you have something precious to protect, you become ambitious. You sink roots deep into the earth and pull up nutrients, so the tree can grow strong and beautiful and safe. I still remembered my sugar daddy responsibilities. Eli was cheap. I could keep him forever, but his grandma's bills and his sister's tuition still mattered. One day, I asked, Eli, Heir is your family? Eli paused. My parents passed away. It's just my grandma and my sister. Grandma's in the hospital. Do you want to visit her? My heart tightened. Can I? I want to. Yeah. I got shy and dressed carefully, then carried a fruit basket to the hospital with him. His grandma had cerebral palsy and was in rehabilitation. Rehab cost a fortune. She was kind. When she saw our hands clasped together, she only looked at me gently, like she already knew who I was. Eli spoke softly. Grandma, this is Ryan. The one I told you about. He's my love. I bowed awkwardly. Hello, Grandma. Grandma asked Eli to bring a small metal box, like she'd prepared it long ago. Inside was a jade bracelet. Deep green. That was when I learned. Eli's grandma came from a well-off family. She'd fallen in love with Eli's grandpa and ran away with him. They'd loved each other fiercely. Eli's parents had two. Then Eli's mother died during childbirth. His father followed not long after, broken with grief. The family was stubborn, devoted. Eli was raised by his grandma. Suddenly, I understood why he was so gentle and so unbreakable. I didn't dare accept the bracelet. But refusing an elder felt rude. So I took it and silently made a vow. In my head, Grandma, don't worry, I'll treat Eli well, always. Eli squeezed my hand hard, like his heartbeat had moved into his palm. I heard on television that the Sterling family was arranging a big engagement. Blake would finally get what he wanted, marrying his childhood friend. Good for him. One afternoon I was in a cake shop, eating dessert while waiting for Eli to get off work. A familiar figure walked in. Blake. He wore a dark coat, and around his neck, that same gray scarf. His face looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes. He sat across from me and said, "I am getting engaged." I didn't know why he bothered telling me, so I kept it polite. "Congratulations." Blake's expression got worse. "Did you get the things I sent you? I sent you stuff every day. And letters." I blinked, genuinely confused. "What things?" Blake's eyes turned sharp, then full of hate. Like he'd figured something out. "Of course, he didn't give them to you. Not a single thing." He looked at me, and for the first time, his face held something close to pleading. "Ryan, I fixed the vase. You can't even see the cracks. If you come back, I won't get engaged, okay? We'll get married. We can go abroad. Just give me one more chance." I cut him off. "I am getting married too. To Eli." Blake's face drained white. His fist clenched. "I won't let you marry him. I'll take you back." He rambled. Something about the engagement being fake, about alliances, about the Sterling family needing help to fight Eli. I didn't follow all the power games. I only knew. It was time. Outside, rain tapped the window. Eli appeared under an umbrella, smiling at me through the glass. "Baby, let's go home." I grabbed my little bag and walked out to him. Then I pulled out a crisp bill and pressed it into his hand. $100. Renewal fee. Eli smiled and accepted it like it was sacred, careful, like he didn't even want to crease it. In his study, there was a safe filled with bills like that. All from me. He didn't need the money. But he claimed it was more precious than everything he'd ever earned. I never asked Eli about the gifts Blake claimed he'd sent. Eli looked gentle and warm. But inside, he was far more obsessive than Blake. His possessiveness was simply quieter. Like a net woven from tenderness, soft, warm, invisible. Wherever I went, whatever I wanted, that net followed. Love and control braided together. Keeping me safe. Keeping me happy. Giving me everything I desired, even before I asked. Love doesn't have just one shape. Gentleness is love. Obsession is love. Tolerance is love. And because I loved Eli, I accepted every form of his love.